Oscar. Give it up for Oscar. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I brought you guys up. You weren't the spy, right, Austin?
No comment.
No comment. I gave it a little intro for you guys that you're the CRO RevOps relationship. You guys are the dream. Can I have you each explain what makes the other great? Was that a question that was easy to understand? Okay, great.
Sure. I first met Austin about 6 years ago. So this sounds really fun. At Twilio. So I had just started at Twilio. I think you were there a couple years before me. And he was on the RevOps team. He was a business partner, not to me, but to somebody else. And I remember seeing you in a meeting and thinking, this guy's super smart. I got to get to know him. And really that's how it started. Like Austin's somebody that shows up and presents himself and the company really, really well. So not only does he understand the business and the analytics, but he also has really strong executive presence. And I think that is a really, really strong thing to have for a RevOps leader. And then, fast forward, I started at a company called Culture Amp. I needed a RevOps leader, and he obviously was the first person I called. And we got to work together again. Yeah, he's just awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this working? Hello? Great. So Katharina is a lot of things. She's very authentic and accessible, and I think that's a huge part of our working relationship. It's very high candor, and I think Katharina ultimately quickly gets to the truth of what's going on out in the field, and then has a huge bias towards action. So a lot of our conversations are like, hey, let's quickly diagnose what is going on. Let's go talk to people. Let's get smart on it. But then a lot of our time is just spent on what are we going to do? And then we're kind of playing jazz. I'll take this lane on this problem. You take this lane. Sometimes I'm out front. Often she is, or I'm preparing her to go out front. And I think she does a really good job getting in front of the sales organization, the rest of the company, and taking complex situations and boiling it down to here's the 3 things we really have to focus on, and let's go.
Incredible. Amazing. So you've managed to create a RevOps function at Culture Amp that is seen as strategic. Not all of us can do that. A lot of times we are relegated. It's hard to get a seat at the table. Katharina, what are you doing to make that happen? I know that you're setting the stage. It's important that a CRO advocates. How are you doing that?
Yeah, some of it is just getting in with the team, right? I think a lot of CROs just depend on the RevOps leader to run things. And I really do try to understand the day-to-day of the team, get in the room with them, walk through the roadmap. We collaborate on the roadmap and we figure out, what do we do and what do we not do? Because the RevOps organization is often the place where everybody sends all of their requests. And I think that ongoing motion of just thinking through okay, what do we actually need to prioritize versus what can't we do? And then being really upfront with stakeholders on what that looks like is key. But I think, including your CRO as a RevOps leader in those conversations, and if they're not getting it, forcing them to go meet with your team and understand what their work looks like. Because I think a lot of times they just simply don't know, is what I found. So I've really tried to take that stance of just understanding what each team is working on and what they're struggling with and what they need help focusing on.
Do you, so you don't just meet with Austin. Do you know the whole team?
I do know the whole team, yeah.
You meet with them one-on-one. If Austin's out, are you taking over?
Not every week, but if he left, I could take over, right? I think, but that's what you want. Same with me, right? I ended up leaving first, but no. But the same thing is true. If I'm gone, right? I can depend on him to take my role too, right?
The role's open, Austin.
Yeah, that's true. The role is open. But that's the relationship you want, right? And so I think it goes both ways. Austin also, you should talk about this, but Austin at one point decided to be a seller. I told him not to do it, but he decided to be a seller for a year. But in hindsight, he was right. It made him a lot more relatable, and he can easily step into my role, run the forecast, show up in a team meeting, and run the show if I need to go to Tahiti or something for a week.
Oh, yeah, we all need to go to Tahiti for a week. Yeah, tell me about that, Austin.
I think it's hypercritical for effective RevOps CRO relationship for you to matrix into the other's organization. I spend a lot of time with Katharina. I spend a lot of time with our VPs of sales. I spend a lot of time with our frontline managers. I spend a lot of time with our reps. And that year in sales, which I highly endorse for anyone in RevOps that wants to grow in your career, and I'd say this is actually even more important in the AI era. If you can get some experience on the front line carrying a bag, it will give you so much fluency in like what a rep actually goes through, how they interact with a customer, how they use tools, what information is critical to them at what time. And so there's a degree of empathy I can bring to those conversations with sales. But I have an open door policy with sales where they can bring me ideas, they can challenge RevOps on things they want to see done, but I debate with them, like quite actively. And if something they want doesn't tie to one of our prioritized business objectives, the outcomes we're trying to drive as a business that she and I are highly aligned on, it's probably not gonna find the roadmap. But conversely, like I have supplanted things in the roadmap that we were already working on quite quickly because the sales manager knew a big problem we were having with, say, like win rates. And they hit on some key insight and they have some great idea for how to address it. And then we drop everything and go build that thing. So when I'm at my best, I'm kind of a hero to pockets of sales who's like, that guy fucking listened. And then a week later, we had a thing. But there's other people in sales that hate me because they're like, I had this idea and I've been asking them for 6 months. And I'm like, it wasn't a good idea. It would not move the needle on the business. And I told you that. You're embarrassing yourself by bringing it up again.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
There's some coaching that happens every once in a while.
For you in your year of sales, what like tactically was a big learn for you?
It's hard to get customers to talk to you. Like, I went from being a very senior RevOps leader at Twilio, which was a big company. I could get a meeting with any of our execs like within a day, right? And they would talk to me and we would collaborate on something. I took that mindset to being a consultative seller, right? Like I'm a big fan of the trusted advisor model of selling.
Yeah.
And I'd reach out to like a C-suite at a big enterprise company and be like, you should take a meeting with me because I can help you with boom, boom, boom. Crickets.
Crickets, yeah.
Another email, crickets. Try to cold call, crickets. Then I'd be like, go down a level. And I, like after 6 months, I'd be like, I got to start 5 levels lower and try and get a beachhead and like work my way in. And that's going to take months and months and months. So especially in enterprise, I deeply empathize with that journey. Like that is a multifaceted journey. And if RevOps can help at every step to feed in the right intelligence and help carve, a winning sales process and sales plays, like it's actually emotionally satisfying for me to hear those stories of like, I tried this thing, I couldn't get in the door for 6 months, and then like the intersection of sales and this thing RevOps built, I got the meeting. And that's such a big freaking moment for a seller who's trying to make quota. So it gave me a lot of empathy for that. And then just like the tools and what it feels like to hit a roadblock as a seller when something's not working. There's real urgency and frustration there. So it's opened to my ears in a different way for sure.
Did you hit quota?
I hit quota. It was a ramping quota. And the ramped quota was terrifying, so who knows if I would have.
Pretty easy to get meetings with developer interns. You try that, just go right at the bottom. You have millions of those. I want to shift the topic a little bit to build versus buy. We've been saying it's both. How do you both think about it, especially with like mandates at the top saying, hey, we want you to use AI first, everything. How are you making those decisions? How are you making those tech decisions?
I think a big part of our conversation has been is like, who? Who do we want building and who do we not want building within our organization? I don't want sellers building a bunch of new solutions and ways of doing things. I want that to be sitting within the RevOps team. I do want them to be part of the conversation, share their ideas, but they need to be focused on selling and building relationships. And so I think when it comes to the build piece, we very much align that it should be primarily done by the RevOps organization. I think build versus buy is interesting. I think we all are under pressure to consolidate tools and spend less money, and so we've had to be strategic when thinking about what can we actually implement. And there's so many great AI tools out there; it's overwhelming for people like me. And so a lot of the conversation has been like, okay, if we can only choose one, what do we want to go all in on with? And how can we use the tools that we already have? Like they've all implemented AI at this point. And so how can we leverage them better before we go and buy something new?
I think it's kind of the old framework. Like, I'm happy to buy something with a vendor embedded AI solution if we don't need a high degree of customization to add unique value in our business. Where we have a lot of secret sauce and intelligence and we need to iterate and cycle fast, then I want to build and I want to own it. And so the challenge right now is like the roadmaps of these vendors are moving so fast. And then even the ones that are doing a good job, it's like, well, is Claude going to come in over the top and make this completely obsolete in 6 months? And I've talked to some friends at Anthropic and RevOps who are like, yeah, it's even hard to build solutions we know right now because we don't know what the next model that comes out in 3 months is going to be capable of, and it may make what we're drafting up completely obsolete. So I think someone recommended in their talk earlier, you have to reevaluate the tech stack every 3 months. And at first I was like, oh shit, you kind of do. It's just the pace at which things are moving. I like Jen's rule that if you look at a vendor and in 2 years they probably won't have a business, you probably shouldn't invest there.
Yeah, I've also found that give feedback, right? Like I feel like when we talk to the vendors and the platforms we do use, they're more open to building things for their customers now than ever before. And so I think that's the other approach that I'm taking is like work with the vendors that you have, tell them what you need, and see if they're willing to build it.
Can I ask a tactical question? Maybe this is for Austin. Can you give me examples of what you're saying, hey, I got to build intelligence. There's some things that I'll decide to build. What have you decided to build?
So I'll start with the outcome, right? Like we've had a win rate challenge as the market has gotten higher in scrutiny on SaaS solutions, particularly like we sell to HR. HR is not in command of the budget in many organizations. So we have to sell to a buying coalition now. And we're trying to work back and like, what does a great value sale look like? Who's the buying committee? How do we get in? And this is all kind of enterprise centric, but all the way back through doing great discovery. So what I'm thinking about is how do we build interventions, agentic interventions, where we're pulling together data and insight and nudges at multiple steps along that selling process to equip sellers to go in and go deep, turn around a value proposition bespoke to that client, given where they're at in the sales cycle, bring in their team to sell as a team, or solutions engineers or value engineering. We have a pre-sales role called people science. One of our critical differentiators at Culture Amp is like we're the best HR vendor at people science, and that's embedded throughout the platform. It's embedded in our AI solution we call AI Coach in the product. And so like we're trying to actually invert the concept of sales enablement right now and say like, instead of getting one-to-many in front of a classroom, we want to do that as little as possible and like jam knowledge into a rep's head where they may not need it for months, or they may need it a little bit next week and a lot 2 weeks later, and then they might have to forget about it for a while. Like it's just not a scalable model. We want a queryable knowledge base, and we want agentic interventions at key moments that activate them and give them rich context that they can use then. So if you think about like the orchestration we want to build in, all the outcome of driving higher win rates. Like we really have to map out a lot of the sales process and what good looks like, map our knowledge to that, trust AI to build some intelligence into all those calls to action. But when you think about like that is all custom to us. We should be building that. I can't trust like gong nudges to take care of us with that, you see.
And one last question for you, Katharina, before we play a game. Do you have advice for a revenue operator with a new CRO? How do they gain trust?
It takes time. It takes time. But I think the big thing is get involved in their stuff and ask them to get involved in your stuff, I think is the biggest thing, right? Like if you haven't worked closely with the leadership team under the CRO, like start to build that trust in those relationships so that you understand what does the day-to-day look like. And then just bring your CRO in. I think a lot of times they're not going to insert themselves, and so you got to do it for them. And I think that'll just help build that trust and that relationship of like, oh, this is what you're doing. And then ask to be in the room. I think the other big thing is I I don't just use what Austin tells me and go to the executive team. I have him come with me. I have him present and show up. And if your CRO is not doing that, ask to be in the room and see what happens.
I'll also say Katharina does a great job inviting challenge. She wants my team, who's looking at the data, who's sweating the details, is hearing a lot from the field, to come and challenge sales on how they can better execute. And I think one of the times I've seen her actually get frustrated is like, hey, there's this senior business partner in your team. They know all the things. Why aren't they pounding the table in this forum? It's like, it's not an area of comfort for them yet, but like that's the coaching challenge. And Katharina will go directly to them and help them with that. Conversely, she invites me to challenge her and like align our thinking behind closed doors so that we go out as a unified front to the rest of the company, and then we can really advocate for investment and solutions. If you don't have that type of relationship in RevOps with your CRO, I'd really encourage you to cultivate that.
It's such a shortcut to being strategic. Only do work that the C-level cares about. Like, that's strategic. That's what they want from you. And so I do think that really getting in the weeds of what the CRO cares about is like the fastest way to it. Okay, friends, Oscar, hit it. We're gonna do a quick little game. Are you guys familiar with Confucius? Famous philosopher. Are you guys familiar with Benioff? He's a wannabe philosopher. I don't know if you've heard him talk or read his book. It's incredible. I'm going to give you each a paddle. I haven't, by the way. I've just looked up quotes. All right, great. I would like the audience to also help us out. I'm going to read a quick quote. And that quote is either by Confucius or by Marky Mark. All right, let's start. One idea alone is a tactic. But if it can be executed a number of different ways, it becomes a great strategy. What do you guys think? Yell it out. Uncle Benny, 1 point Katharina, beautiful. All right. Always strive to have a beginner's mind. Always strive to have a beginner's mind. Told you he was a wannabe philosopher. That would be Benioff. That would be Mark Benioff. Isn't he incredible? All right. Next up. By 3 methods, we may learn wisdom: reflection, imitation, and experience. Confucius. He had to have one. He had to have one. What if they were all Benioff? Ugh, I should have done that. All right. The superior man understands what is right. The inferior man understands what will sell. What do you think? That's Confucius. That's Confucius. Also, hey, everything is sales. We've all heard it. Everything is sales. All right. Let's do this one. Trust is the ultimate currency. Who cares about trust? Is the ultimate currency. That's Benioff. Benioff loves trust. That's the only thing he talks about. Trust, 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 trust. Got to win the trust of the customers. All right, one more. And this one, admittedly, is super hard. So if you get it wrong, no big deal. Agent force is real. Yeah, it is Benioff. Funny story. Okay, Benioff, this is the question that was asked when he said that. How is Agent Force different from Microsoft Copilot? That was his answer. It was on a podcast called Pioneers of AI. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever had imposter syndrome about creating content, not getting enough views, it had 700 views. Mark Benioff had 700 views on an interview, and God, do I love that. All right, Katharina, Austin, thank you so much. Yes, please. Yeah, take the mic.
I have a quick story, and then there's a call to action for the audience.
Okay, great.
So, Jen, I'm wearing a pair of socks. A pair of
RevOps.
Go Nimbly socks. And what they picture, you can't see well. It's a carton of spilled milk with the phrase RevOps, which I thought is fucking hilarious. But the story that goes along with this, Jen told me that last year with the tattoo artist, RevOps was on the menu of tattoos you can get. She put it there as a joke, but someone got it. And I want to know if that person is here, because I need to see this tattoo.
It's Jeff Long, but did anybody else? Jeff Long isn't here. It's his birthday, and he was like, I'm going to spend it with my wife. I know. Did anybody else get a RevOps? Has anybody gotten it? Honestly expected. Are you going to get it? Austin, I mean,
No.
on your arm.
But in a way, RevOps is already tattooed on me. We started a big quote to cash overhaul and got way over our skis. Good Nimbly is in right now, saving our asses. So that was
Oh
my
my
RevOps.
God, I did not pay him for that. He paid me. Amazing. Thank you.